Hello, it's Mike Matthews, the host of the longest-running self-produced daily podcast by a guy named Mike in the land of Madame Rootabega, here in the last place on earth at Café Anyway. It is Mike's Daily Podcast, episode 3128, 3128. The last show, I was discussing some amazing bands that had the word house in their title. We talked about Big House, which was a cool band that featured a guy named Monty Byram, who later produced, or who earlier had produced some Eddie Money albums, and then later created this country band, like a country blues album type band that was big in the late 90s, kind of quasi-big. And he had something like 6 members in the band, including a harmonica player who once pulled a gun on the band, and then he was promptly dismissed from the band. But yes, it was great to meet Monty when he was coming by a country station that I worked for called K in Ventura County. And by the way, my voice is heard once again in Ventura County on the radio station called Cama Radio, which is at 101.3 FM. And you can hear me weekday mornings at 5:30 when you get up really, really early, because you're going to get up early. You're going to take the day by the bull of the horns and to eat the worm and all, whatever that expression is, and have a great day. And the guy that runs that station, Barry, plays an amazing mix of music, and maybe he even plays Big House. I don't know. But I met Monty, and I subsequently got, I think, every single Big House CD since then. And he was always really cool. He would sign the CD for me when he came by the station. And he once told me, I was interviewing Monty, and I got to put the interview up on my website, mikesdailypodcast.com. I don't think I've done that yet. But I was interviewing him, and we were talking off mic for a minute, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's cool. You remember me producing that Eddie Money album. Eddie Money just called me not too long ago. And you know, Eddie just got out of rehab." And this was back in the 90s. So Eddie Money, I don't know his whole story, but he had some ups and downs in his life. And we talked a little bit about him last show, about how he was a police cop once upon a time. I think in New York, he was a cop. But yeah, he had done a lot of things, had been through a lot of things. So back then he was on the up. Apparently he was calling up Monty to say he was doing better. He had gotten over whatever addiction it was, and he was improving. And that was in the late 90s. Not sure what Eddie did around that time, if he came out with any projects. But Big House is a great band. Check them out. Of course, Crowded House, one of my favorites, with Neil Finn. And then there is the band that was called Ice House, that had a guy named Iva Davies, and they were from Australia. Crowded House was from New Zealand. Big House was from somewhere in America. But man, I loved all those bands. And Ice House was, I think the last big thing they did was a couple new songs they did on a greatest hits album that came out in the early 90s. They were pretty much done by then. The lead singer, Iva, did a couple things when the Olympics came to Australia. And, oh my gosh, someone just walked in up to, we haven't gone into Café Anyway yet, but hello, lovely lady friend.
Hello.
You haven't been on in a long time.
No, I heard you. I came back from my walk, and I could hear you from outside.
Oh, yeah?
And I could hear Valentino, and can't remember who else, but it sounded like you were having so much fun, so I wanted to crash the party.
Well, that's a little sneak peek into who's going to be on the show a little bit later on.
Oh, did I just ruin it?
You ruined everything. You ruined this podcast. Hey, so you're now being heard in Camarillo.
Oh, that's right.
We're being broadcast on Cama Radio.
That's right.
Which is 101.3 FM. In Camarillo.
I've never been to Camarillo.
You know, and your boss, you work for someone who grew up there.
That's
in
right.
In Camarillo, so that's cool. And then I grew up, well, I didn't grow up in Camarillo, but close by, and I had a lot of people that went to my high school that lived there. So there'd be cool parties in Camarillo all the time.
How far were you from Camarillo?
I lived in Oxnard. So it's practically right next to. I once ran. Actually, yeah, I did do that. I ran from Oxnard to Camarillo, ran through the fields, the farmland, the farm fields. And if you got hungry, you'd stop and eat someone's strawberries. Ooh, you're not supposed to do that. Because they got all these strawberry fields over there. They have the California Strawberry Festival there every year.
Oh, in Camarillo or Oxnard?
Oxnard.
Oh, okay.
Now, but the cool logo for Camarillo has strawberries in it. So there you go. It's a vital part of Camarillo. Delicious strawberries.
You know, maybe
you're from the Bronx. They don't have strawberries there.
No strawberries.
But you were saying about strawberries, love?
I'm sure there's strawberries somewhere. No, the Bronx is just a big concrete jungle.
That's right. I can't wait to go and meet your mom.
Oh, I'm sure you can't wait.
It's going to be cool. We can talk about, next time we talk to her, we can say how we talked about her on the podcast.
Yeah. And you know her attention span, like a gnat.
Yeah. A 30, a 10.
She'll ask you, what's a podcast? And before you can even answer, she's on to something else.
30-second attention span. That's a Robert Plant song called Heaven Knows. Hey, Barry, you need to play that on Cam Radio next. You know, she does have and your cousin has, I was talking a little bit about TikTok. And how she has the TikTok on and the TV on.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's not unusual, I bet. There's probably more people out there that do that.
I'm sure. I know I do it. Yeah. I'm guilty of it sometimes.
Or maybe they're listening to a podcast and watching something on YouTube at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It just tanks my attention.
You can't.
It hurts my brain.
Yeah. Well, you can't really focus on something.
No.
No matter.
But I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah. They don't want to.
It's just mindless scrolling.
Yeah. Oh, the doom scrolling. That's terrible. I was going to talk.
It's like we're too tired to do anything else.
So NPR got defunded. Now, I would like to say this about NPR. It's because I was listening to it today. It's still on the air, even though they got defunded. Apparently, they're getting a bunch of donations because people, want to keep it going.
Right.
And meanwhile, the folks over at Pacifica Radio, which you could say is slightly more to the left than NPR, they still rely on fundings. Oh, by the way, so does Cama Radio rely on people's donations, is what I was saying.
Yes. The good, generous people, listeners.
So you can donate to that at camaradio.org. I would say donate to my show, but I don't really have a Patreon or anything like that. But you can check out my website, mikesdailypodcast.com. That's all I ask. But what NPR wants money, and they, however, have lost somebody. Their top editor, Edith Chapin, resigned just days after Congress yanked the funding. Now, I was listening to NPR today. It shouldn't be NPR. It should be NFRY, as in fry. I hear so much vocal fry, which I'm starting to do right there. Vocal fry. They have a lot of young women on there that are all doing the vocal fry thing. You don't really do the vocal fry thing.
I don't know.
I don't think you do.
Maybe if I'm tired.
Yeah, I think we all do it a little bit, but it's not your default vocal style.
It does seem to be a generational thing.
Well,
I don't know. But maybe we're just fuddy-duddies, love.
That is absolutely funny that you said the word fuddy-duddy. Because that is such an old person title thing that our parents said, our grandparents said, and it's funny that word continues on. Fuddy-duddy.
It lives on.
It lives on.
Across the generations. I got it from a supervisor that I used to have, who, I think I was telling you about her. She passed away of cancer about 5 years ago or so, and she used to say fuddy-duddy.
Oh, yeah,
So
my
I
mom
got it
used to
from
say
her.
that too. Isn't it funny how they live on, people live on in our minds just by some words that they said.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that one person told me this, and you think about them, and you're reminded of them. And that's why we just got reminded we need to go into Café Anyway.
It's like that Titanic song, love.
That's right, that Celine Dion song. Thank you so much for bringing up Celine Dion. Near, far, or wherever you are.
Exactly.
My heart
will go on.
This is beautiful. Okay, I'm going to get the door for you. Here we go.
Oh, thank you.
Café! Anyway, welcome to the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hi, I'm Mike Matthews. It's a wonderful joy to be with you here today at Mike's Daily Podcast Land, Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Mike's Daily Podcast. The last place on earth and land of Maritopica. My name is Mike. It's FF episode 3128. So much fun. 3128. That's right. It's Mike Matthews. Tonight, I think I'll go and eat some of those leftovers in my fridge. Okay, all right. That's just an idea. You can do so much with leftovers. Mike's Daily Podcast. There was a line from Mr. George Carlin where he was discussing leftovers in the fridge. Daily His little refrigerator man podcast bit that it got to be played so much on the radio. It actually, I think it was charting for a while. It was a big thing. It was just him talking. This was back in the day. Episode 3128 is what this episode is. Yeah, when I was growing up, there were a lot of songs that got popular on the charts that were novelty songs, that were meant to be comedy songs. There was a song called What's the Matter You? And the best way I can describe it is some kind of Italian accent going on, like in New York. What's the matter you? Why you got no respect? I can't. Gosh, if I really tried, I could probably sing that whole thing. It was getting played on the radio all the time. Yes, comedy. Comedy was big when I was a kid. You had not the Smothers Brothers. That was a little bit before my time. There was the Mackenzie, the Canadian guys, Bob and Doug McKenzie. I think that's what it was. That was actually Rick Moranis and Dave something. Can't think of his name. Both from SCTV and that popular skit show. So they did a funny movie.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That was out there and outlandish, and comedy songs were big when I was growing up in the 70s. Maybe it was just because people were getting tired of all the disco that was happening and they wanted a little different stuff happening on the radio. Who knows? But it was a different time. And radio was changing. Music was getting played on FM stations as well as AM stations. The podcast picture's not of an AM or an FM station, but of the wonderful area in Niles Canyon, near Fremont, California, and Alameda Creek. It's a beautiful creek that the late great Basil the Boxer and I used to walk along long ago. I took a little walk there recently. You can see a picture of it at mikesdailypodcast.com. Beautiful sunset that was happening right there, right then. Yeah, in the 70s, there was a move to start making FM radio bigger. The FM transmitter, the FM signal that you could pick up on the radio. Before, cars were just being made with AM radios. And then people were getting more and more excited about FM. And it's odd because now there are car makers that are not making cars with the AM radio stations. Maybe someday with no radio stations, no AM or FM radio stations. But that would be bad. So there's a bill being pushed through Congress trying to prevent all the car manufacturers. It's like mandatory for them to put AM radio stations in their cars. But just about every radio station now can be found on the internet in some way. So there are a lot of apps that let you do that.
Is that why you're bald, Mike?
Because of the app. Maybe radio is why I'm bald. I worked in radio for, it's going to be 40 years next year. Wow. I did take a couple years off, though. I did have a little bit of a sabbatical, let's just say. But it wasn't that long, and I was back to, and I was podcasting during that time. So in a way, I was actually doing a form of radio, a form of broadcasting entertainment. But yeah, what were we talking about? The world of novelty songs and about how we're going to change and talk about something else now. That's right. We're going to talk about TV. And a show that I have not watched, Squid Games, but the season 3 on Netflix is the most watched show ever, or it was as of a month ago. It had at that point 265.2 million views. It was more than season 2. Season 3 had 265. Season 2 had 192. So we're way ahead with season 3. Now, I have not watched Squid Games. I'm not all into all this.
Will Robinson, danger.
I know that foreboding sense of danger throughout the whole episode, and anyone can be killed and murdered, and you might start to like a character, but they get murdered, and I know the whole concept of it, and some of you are really into it, so I'm not going to say anything bad about it, because I don't want to be one of those people that get knocked off in the show. But, if you're not into that, maybe you're into Aaron Sorkin stuff. Aaron Sorkin did that White House TV show. He did that one about Sports Night. He's done a bunch of movies. One of them was The Social Network. I really enjoyed that movie. And that's what made me turn on Facebook. Even though if you want to watch me on Facebook, I do a video of me doing the podcast. But it's really boring video. So I'm not telling you to go see it. But if you want to, facebook.com/Mike's Daily Podcast. And there's a link at mikesdailypodcast.com. But yeah, he did that fascinating Jesse Eisenberg.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
And it was all about Mark Zuckerberg, obviously. And not about Mr. Microphone. Which, hey, when I was growing up, that was the biggest thing. Hey, you can talk. Speaking of that radio, and I think it broadcasted on your FM dial, the little transmitter and the microphone. It was basically a little mini radio station. You could talk on your car radio and blast it really loud and say to someone, you'll be back to pick them up later, which is creepy. But back on Facebook, and not just for the flippable side tables on Marketplace. Hey, Marketplace is a crazy thing on Facebook. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica, and Mike Matthews. Yeah, before we talk about Facebook, real quick. So, isn't it fascinating? When I was a kid, cars, people would be my parents would buy used cars. They never bought new cars. They bought used cars. And at that time in the 70s, if you bought a used car, like the ones outside of Café Anyway outside here, you would usually get an old car that had an old radio in it, and the radios did not have FM on it. Because FM got big in the 70s. It all was the people that were playing the rock albums, because the rock albums were recorded in stereo, and FM allowed you to listen in stereo. So you had a left channel and a right channel, and you could do all that cool Beatles stuff where you had drums on the left ear and the guitar in the right ear or whatever it was, and somebody maybe moving from the left to the right ear. Oh, we're losing the video, by the way, because the phone just died. Okay. Just wanted to point that out for no particular reason, even though I hate when people point out video stuff on their audio podcasts. But yeah, all that cool stuff that you could do, the phasing and everything, that was because of the stereo, to be able to record in stereo. and to broadcast in stereo, which FM could do and AM couldn't. They tried to do that with AM. I never heard that, but I'm told it was at one point going to be something successful and was going to become the next big thing, but it didn't. So AM radio may disappear from cars. They were the first to arrive, and maybe soon they'll leave. But if they go...
Mike is awesome.
Oh, thank you. I got that Facebook story, by the way, from that guy. That's Rob Black. He's on AM 1220. He's on an AM radio station. AM 1220 KDOW in the Bay Area. Monday through Friday in the 5 o'clock hour in the afternoon. And then he is also on Cron TV Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour in the morning on Cron TV. But yeah, if FM goes, if AM goes, soon FM will go, and then your cars will just not have any radio transmitter at all to pick up, or a receiver to pick up anything that the radio stations are broadcasting from their transmitters. You'll have no receiver, no antenna, which cars don't have antennas like the old style that used to stick up and get knocked off or pulled off by people that were angry at you. So what will happen, it'll be a car just running completely off of the cellular towers. But what if the cellular towers go down? That's the question. Will they be picking it up off of Starlink or Amazon's thing? Got the Jeff Bezos thing, you got the Amazon thing. Well, who knows what will happen? Elon Musk, I'm sorry. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Elon Musk is Tesla. So Elon Musk got a Starlink, Jeff Bezos trying to do his Amazon thing.
It's a trap!
Watch out, all of it's a trap. It'd be good if we just were able to rely on radio, still very simple radio transmitters, receivers, transistor radios. You know what I'm saying. The thing is, back to Facebook, Aaron Sorkin, who did The Social Network, that movie, he is planning on doing a sequel. You know, Facebook does have that marketplace, which is weird. I tried to sell a car on that, and everybody that was showing interest, they were flaky. They all disappeared. But maybe you want to sell an old radio on that, or an old car. But Aaron Sorkin has written and intends to direct a sequel to The Social Network based on the Wall Street Journal's Facebook files. The patterned sweater vests, speaking of the 80s, that Matthew Broderick wore in the 1986 movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that recently sold for over $270,000 at an auction. And Trump, if you're not into the 80s but into the current day and the current apps that let you listen to radio, but perhaps maybe you don't even listen to those, or the apps that let you listen to podcasts like this one. Maybe you want to check out the app TikTok and be on that all the time, or just watch videos and be visually addicted to it so that you can't break the addiction.
Makes music.
Be careful of TikTok. You'll get addicted and you won't be able to take your eyes off of it, and you'll be watching it and streaming it nonstop. My lovely lady friend was hanging out with somebody recently, a relative of hers, and this particular relative loves to watch TikTok and TV simultaneously. How is that possible? And she has the TV on loud. She's got the TikTok on loud. She's doing both. My lovely lady friend suggested, why don't you turn off the TV and we'll just look at your TikTok. No, I might miss something. Isn't that interesting? See, this is why you would think no one would want to take the AM radio away from you, or the FM radio away from you, because you might miss something. But Trump says he has a group of very wealthy people ready to buy TikTok, but the deal likely needs Beijing's approval to move forward. He extended for the third time the deadline for ByteDance to divest from the platform's U.S. business. That was back last month. And more recently, the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that TikTok will have to stop operating in the United States if China does not approve a deal for the sale of the Chinese-owned short video app that's used by 170 million Americans or more. Lutnick said the United States must control the algorithm that makes the social media platform work and makes people into addicts. President Trump extended by 90 days to September 17th a deadline for China-based ByteDance to divest the U.S. asset of TikTok. His action took place despite Chewbacca's protests. We'll just say protests. Took place despite a 2024 law. Trump took action despite the law that mandated a sale or shutdown by January 19th of this year. But as you can see, that date long has passed us by. Well, we'll be close to January 14th of 2026 pretty soon. It'll seem, before you know, Lutnick said China can have a little piece, or ByteDance, the current owner, can keep a little piece, but basically Americans will have control. Americans will own the technology and Americans will control the algorithm. If that deal gets approved by the Chinese, then that deal will happen. If they don't approve it, then TikTok is going to go dark, and those decisions are coming very soon. A deal's been in the works since the spring that would spin off TikTok's U.S. operations into a new U.S.-based firm, majority owned and operated by U.S. investors. But this stalled after China indicated it would not allow it following Trump's announcement of steep tariffs on Chinese goods. That's what caused this to stop or to hit a road bump. Trump has 3 times granted reprieves. 3 times, which is funny. The number 3 is hilarious. From federal enforcement of the law that mandated the sale or shutdown of TikTok. Attorney General Pam Bondi sent letters to Apple, Google, and other companies that provide services or host a TikTok app and asked them if they were made public this month. They sent... Oh, I guess she sent letters to them. These letters were made public about her saying that the Justice Department was irrevocably relinquishing any claims against the companies for potential violations of the law, citing Trump's determination that an abrupt shutdown would interfere with his overseeing national security and foreign affairs. Some Democratic lawmakers argue that Trump has no legal authority to extend the deadline and suggest the deal under consideration would not meet legal requirements. This according to the folks there at Reuters. Hi, look who's outside a Café Anyway somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth.
What was that all about?
Hello, my master. It's Madame Rootabega. Always that is very interesting. I love to hear about stuff about TikTok. Ooh.
Do you like to go onto TikTok?
Yes.
Do you have trouble putting down your phone while you're watching TikTok?
Yes.
Are you going to become a TikToker?
No.
Okay, that's good. You're not going to become an influencer. That's interesting. You know, I think Madame Rootabega would be a fantastic influencer with her fantastic sense of humor and the way she says yes and no. That's so funny, and people would love that. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we don't use TikTok because it's controlled by Chinese, and if we look at it, then we will be controlled by the Chinese government because of the little radio waves they stick in there.
Yeah. Chinese radio waves. Do you know that?
You guys, radio waves may soon disappear completely if they don't put AM radio stations inside of cars. No, that's not the right sentence. If they don't put AM radio receivers, AM radio in cars. See, it gets confusing.
Mike, how are you?
I'm confused, but thanks for asking. What do you think about all that? Here's the number to
Call
call.
Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. And you know what? To keep this show going, it'd be great to hear from you. Why don't you drop us a line to find out how to do that? We go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame is what I said. So thank you for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!